6-digit passenger name record, or what we call a record locator, and I'll hand that to the agent saying, hey, do what you should have done in the first place and get me home.
And, I mean, the average person doesn't know to do that. Nor did I. We do now, yes, to the degree I retained it. But doesn't the FAA doesn't police something like that?
No. I mean, it would fall under the Department of Transportation as far as something that, if there was a complaint, they would investigate it. But, you know, Mike, so many people, when they travel, it's an environment that's already intimidating in its own right, because we're all told what to do, when to do it, what line to stand in. You know, it's something that we are kind of conditioned to just accept what we're told, and we're not going to really feel like, well, the agent doesn't really have an incentive to lie to me, so if they're saying it was canceled because of the weather, so be it. But we're finding sometimes when they're blaming everything right now on the weather, and that's not the case. Now, I will quickly say that we see flights from Chicago to the West Coast that are being canceled because of the weather, because that aircraft that was designed to make up that particular flight segment is on one of these affected flight patterns, and that aircraft is stationed somewhere else, and you may see flights out of Chicago that are canceled heading south, even west, because of this storm. And most people would think, well, I don't have to worry about that because I'm flying in the complete opposite direction of that mess in the Northeast. But you know, we're seeing flights on the West Coast canceled because of the mess that Sandy's creating in the Northeast.
So how long does it take them to pick up, to make up for the lag? I mean, if you're going to the Northeast, and let's say the storm is out of the way by 6 o'clock this evening, and flights could resume if they chose, how many days does it take to get back up to speed?
Well, one of the things they've got to do, Mike, and this is the challenge, and it's the part of this whole equation that worries me, is we've got an assessment period once, because we've got runways that are underwater right now at Kennedy. We've got issues with water at LaGuardia. They're going to have to do an assessment to make sure that there's no damage to either the runways or the support structure, and that could take some time. They're worried about some of the communication equipment that they use at various airports that has to be tested, the FAA and the flight control, the same sort of situation where it's going to take time to make sure that those systems are operating as they should. We have to make sure that the airports didn't sustain any damage in the storm that would prevent us from having, get everything back to normal. Now, once all that's been done, and it will be done in a very expeditious fashion, they will begin the process of bringing flights into those affected airports. And then in many cases, the airlines might even bring in what we call a double segment, where they'll bring in not one but 2 flights to operate a specific segment to basically, if you will, try to help airlift some of the passengers out of those affected airports. But Mike, it's probably going to be this weekend before we're back to normal in a best-case scenario, and it will take us probably a week to get all the passengers that are backlogged and stranded to their destinations, because unfortunately, all the flights for the next several days are oversold.
At last point, they'll say that airlines will lose, say, $50 million in the course of this process. And there are people who will simply cancel their trip, but ultimately they're going to end up moving a lot of the people who were stranded anyway, and they're going to pay to be moved.
And there's going to be a number of people who paid for their tickets who are going to decide to fly at a later date who do not do so. So it's very interesting right now that airlines have collected money and fees from us. They're not paying pilots. They're not paying fuel. They're not paying a lot of the operating costs. So, I mean, it's not going to be something that they're glad to see, but it's not something that's going to wreck them from the standpoint, from a revenue standpoint initially. Obviously, if it continues, we might see that come into play. But, you know, Mike, for the people traveling, the one thing I really want to emphasize here is when you're flying in this type of a situation, you want to make sure that you maintain and keep a close eye on your seat assignment. Many times with the airlines and with this type of irregular operation, many times we'll substitute the equipment or change the type of airplane that makes up a particular segment. And if it's a different type of plane, they cancel the seat assignments because obviously you don't have the same seating configuration. And if you have a change in your itinerary, you want to make sure that your seat assignment does not go away. Because if you show up at the airport on a flight that's oversold, you could be put on standby hoping to get on the flight that maybe you confirmed and paid for 9 months ago. So as you're reconfirming your reservation for any future trip, make sure that the seat assignment is still in place, because in an oversold situation, it's vital that you show up at the airport with the seat assignment.
All right, Jay Ratliff, as always, you're the man.
Well, Mike, it's always my pleasure, and anytime you need me, give me a call.
I will do that. Thanks so much.
Okay.
Take care. And we'll have, you can contact Jay if you care to on our website, WGNradio.com. We'll make sure we get that from him and put it on there. This is 720 WGN.
I'm Milt Rosenberg. As an old professorial hand, I insist, and you've heard me do it before, that the universities are in very bad shape for certain particular reasons. Ann Neal is the head of the American Council of Trustees and Alumni. She's in a war against political correctness as it contaminates the universities. She's our guest tonight on Extension 720 at 10 o'clock on 720 WGN.
My name is David Hochberg, and I am president of Townstone Financial. If you're looking to purchase a new home or refinance your existing home, give me a call. Don, retired, living off a fixed Social Security and pension income, called to refinance his home. He contacted his current lender and a couple of other banks to refinance, but none of them could get his loan done because these poorly trained so-called mortgage experts have no idea what they're doing. What these bankers missed was, in addition to his Social Security and pension income, Don had over 850 G's in retirement funds. I helped Don create a stream of income off of his $850,000 of retirement funds that enabled him to refinance into a lower rate and save a ton of money. If you have limited retirement income but an abundance of assets and would like to use these assets to create a stream of income to lower your rate and monthly payment, give me a call now at 312-896-2111 or visit our website, townstone.com. Townstone Financial is in Indiana, Michigan, Wisconsin, Florida, and Illinois mortgage licensee number 6629, and my NMLS number is 136675.
You know, one short call to IGS Energy can save you over 20% on your electricity each month. My listeners save more just for mentioning me, John Williams. They can save up to 25% on their electricity each month. All you need to do is make one quick call to IGS at 877-922, the number 4 IGS.